whatever it is that we truly, our soul's deepest, darkest, fullest visions for our life, when we shed the bullshit around them, we recognize that the thing that we really want is already in balance. In this reading, we know that we are shedding the baloney skins of hyperfocus, of staying on this runaway train that's heading to somewhere we don't want to go. The truth that we are distilling is that we have more balance in our world than we realize. And the magic that we're awakening, is that you really can have it all, whatever it all means to you. So we're going to dive a little deeper into those cards. Ooh, who's already coming out? The Emperor. The Emperor says there is value in cornerstones. There's value in traditional foundations. There's value in sitting on your throne and holding the energy of who you are. Because who you are is capable of running an entire empire. If you would only sit still long enough, if you would only put your big girl panties on and get a little serious. There is a serious vibe to the Emperor. There's a practical vibe. There's a logistics vibe. It's time to... It's a mature card. It's a mature card. The Page of Wands tells us of the value of setting out on new adventures. So this is really interesting in combination with this Emperor who wants you to sit on your throne, and this Page of Wands who says, go explore. And so how can we bring our throne with us? How can our throne be nimble? How can our throne be agile? For instance, what are the simple daily practices that, regardless of anything else that's going on, that can live with you? So for me, I have not been doing this, but I know that I got to sit on my dang cushion and I got to get still and quiet for at least 30 minutes a day, but really more, especially right now. But I can do that anywhere. So I love this cushion. I can bring this cushion with me. It is carryable, or I can, sit on what's available. So I can still go off on my adventures. I can still try new things, but I bring my foundations with me. So physically, maybe I'm traveling around and I bring my cushion and I still sit every single day. Hello, this is me talking to myself. I need to sit every single day. Why have you been avoiding this? You too? What's the thing that you need to do that you know you need to do that you have not been doing? It's time to freaking do it. That's a very physical example of I'm an emperor, but I'm as nimble as a Page of Wands. A more metaphorical example is maybe I'm taking an established business or something that I have done in the past. I'm taking my experience, I'm taking my degrees, I'm taking my certifications, I'm taking my skill sets, I'm taking the things that I have already learned, I am already good at, that I can do with my eyes closed, and I'm bringing them into a new venture. So while this adventure is new, I am not new. Make sense? Okay. I didn't expect those cards to just fall out, so I'm sort of resetting with what am I drawing here, what am I thinking through. I think I'm going to draw some clarifying cards for our 3 starting cards. Are these in reverse for you? Ha! Eek! Look how pretty. Okay, so I'm going to draw some clarifying cards. Right? It's like, it's big out there, But we have when the world is chaotic, there's value in remembering what is inside our control and what is outside our control. And it's not ignoring the bigger picture, because that isn't serving anybody either. It's about not siphoning our own energy and giving it to these things that we have no control over. And it's focusing back on what it is that I do have control over. So for me, if the world is overwhelming me and there are leaders making choices that are different than choices than I would make, and I don't currently in this day have access to any of those leaders, I can do a couple of things. I can, in my own life, focus on developing the leadership in my neighborhood, in my sphere of influence, in my community. And I can sit and meditate, because I truly believe that when we sit and we get still and we dissolve our own baloney skins, that we also are dissolving baloney skins for the world. And so if there's too much chaotic energy in the collective consciousness, one of the things that I personally can do in that moment is I can get still. And I can bring more peace and more stillness and more clarity into that collective consciousness. I can use that to transmute some of the overwhelm that's out there. I don't know what that tangent was. I don't know what any of these are. I just saying the words that are coming out of my mouth. And these are the words that are coming out of my mouth. Okay, I really am going to pull 3 cards to go with the Chariot, the 6 of Pentacles, and the World. This is the Prism Oracle deck. And we're going to grab, for the World, we've got protection. Nope, for the Chariot, we have protection. So here's the thing. That runaway train that we're on, we've built this bubble, this steel ball around ourselves. And so our train that we think we are just focusing on, it's actually barreling over other people in ways that are potentially doing some harm, whether that's not necessarily physical, right? But in the karmic layers, in the subtle body layers, when we make our protection shell too thick, it becomes a weapon. And it becomes an unconscious weapon, because we're inside, we cannot see through those walls. And so we don't realize the karmic harm that we're doing. So that runaway train that we've got to get off of, we've got to soften our protection. We've got to soften the heart, right? The protection pieces, there was value in them. We can appreciate and honor the aspects of ourselves that said, fuck no, I need a little space here. And recognize that at some point, those aren't serving us anymore. And at some point, it's time to let some of those walls down and let some things soften. And if we were to ask how we do that, how can I help to soften my walls? How can I help to get out of this steel ball that's barreling down a hill straight towards a community of elves? And I don't want to run over a community of elves. So how do I arrest this? How do I stop this momentum in this moment? Ooh, Kali. Kali ma, Kali ma, Kali, Kali, Kali ma. You got to get a little wild. You got to get a little feral. You got to like Hulk, like when he like busts out of his chest or his suit or his shirt, or like, brah! Right? We need a little like, brah! You've got to unleash your authentic self, right? And this is not about, I need to go be violent in the world. If that's your authentic self, who am I to say it is or isn't? But sometimes it takes some intensity to bust through when this outer shell has gotten so thick. So finding that intensity within yourself. Some practical ways we can do that: a primal scream. I like a whisper scream with a breath, so it's a even better if you stick that tongue all the way out, because the fascia in your tongue is connected all the way to the fascia in your toes, so it pulls up and out the stuff that we are holding in our body. So that's a let's do it again. Do it with me. Yeah. Who's looking? Give it a try. Okay. Beautiful. I think that's called lion's breath. Forgive me if it's not. So finding ways to get a little feral. That can be, I like dancing around a fire pit. That can be making a different choice. So if there's that obvious choice that you make every single time, but each time you make it, it eats and eats and eats and eats at your soul a tiny bite each time, it's time to stop making that choice. It's time to get comfortable making other people uncomfortable. Stop trying to fix everyone else's discomfort, because their discomfort makes you uncomfortable, so then you try to fix it, and then it says, and you're just giving yourself away. Stop. Make the choice that you wouldn't usually make. Say the thing that you wouldn't usually say. You don't have to blow up your life in a moment, but you can make small changes. You can make the choice that you know you want to make, but you just can't bring yourself to because of, here's my laundry list of reasons. Here's all the things that are getting in the way of me doing what I really want to do. I'm not saying quit your job and run out into the woods. I did that. It's not always the best answer. But I am saying speak up. Say no. When your boss says that thing that is just fucking inappropriate, call them out on it. Advocate for yourself. And you advocate for yourself by getting comfortable making other people uncomfortable. Because if it triggers them, in many ways, that's their problem. And yes, there is absolutely cultural and common triggers that are worth learning more about, that we learn to walk around, right? This is not, I'm just, but there's a period of time where we've overdone it. There's a period of time where we're walking on eggshells when we don't need to be walking on eggshells. And when our eggshell walking is actually doing more harm than good. People pleasing does harm. It does harm to you, and it does harm to the other person by not giving them the truth. The truth is the kindest thing that we can offer. And when you hide your truth, when you people please, you are doing harm. And it puts a shell up upon yourself, and it gets you down this runaway train that you just can't figure out how to get off of. Well, it's time to get off of it. And we get off of it by making different choices, by being just a little bit more feral each and every day. Okay, let's get some cards for the Six of Pentacles. This is the truth that we are distilling. This is the piece of us that says there's more balance in our world than we realize. Oh, we have love. The balance that exists in our life is the love that's right here and now. In Western culture, in my broader peer group, I don't know that we're really good at knowing what love is. I think that we know what obsession is. I think that we know what people pleasing is. I think that we know what giving to someone is. I think that we know what self-sacrifice is. But I don't know that we always know what that unconditional, honest, from the center of your heart, feel it vibrating through all of the layers of your being, love is. One of my favorite practices is a bhakti yoga practice, and it is looking for the divine, looking for the love in everything. So in every situation, looking for how is this person sharing or asking for love? Because I truly think you can distill just about every word that comes out of anyone's mouth to either I love you or do you love me? And remembering that love is honest and love is not people-pleasing, when we look for that authentic, unconditional, non-judgmental, equanimous, is that how you pronounce that? Love, that's where we find our balance. So if you're looking to find the balance that already exists in your world, look for the ways in which people are loving you that don't initially feel like love, and ways in which you are loving others that don't initially feel like love. So for instance, my mom unloaded on me recently, and I've been like, about it. I can continue to disagree with some of the specifics of what she's coming from, and also know that her intentions are still pure, that she loves me deeply, and that her way of showing this love in this moment is trying to communicate something where she sees a particular gap in the way that I'm living my life. And there is a gap in the way that I'm living my life. And so if I can shed and I cannot focus on the places where I don't necessarily agree with how she thinks or what she thinks I should do about those things, and I don't always agree with the things that she chooses to do about, her things. And yet I can focus on and I can remember that what she's saying to me is, I love you, Catherine. And if I keep coming back to, I love you, Catherine, and I love you, Mom, and I don't get caught in the swirl or the rabbit hole or the trap of, but you're saying this thing wrong here, then I can keep that line of communication clear between us. So that's what I'm working on. Let's see what the cards want to tell us about how we can do this. Thomas. Stillness, rest, non-reactivity, borderline lethargy, not fighting back, not getting in a mental argument about it, but just letting it be for a moment, letting the dust settle. And while the dust is settled, continuing to remember, I love you, you love me. We don't always speak the same language in our communication, but rather than get caught up in that language, in that methodology, in the differing philosophies, letting all of those things settle like a snow globe, so that the piece that is clear and is true is the only thing that remains. Okay, I think that's what we have to say about this card. Let's do one more. The world. The magic that we are awakening is that you truly can have it all, whatever all means to you. And so that level of we have access to so much more than we recognize we have access to sometimes. And when we get off our runaway train, when we let our guard down a little bit, when we allow ourselves to be a little bit more feral and make other people uncomfortable, when we sit with the discomfort of their discomfort, when we refocus on the love, on the unconditional, on the truth at the core, when we settle into non-reactivity, when we let things rest for a moment, we can have everything that we want. Because all of these things help us to get clearer about what it is that we actually want. Not what we've been told we're supposed to want. Not what I watched MTV Cribs and now I desire this giant house and this pool and these things and whatever. Personally, I thought that I did want those things. Then I sat, was like, well, that's a lot to clean. Like, I have a hard time keeping my one bedroom clean. So what? I want to have to clean the giant compound? No, I really don't. So getting clearer about what it is that we truly desire allows us to have everything that we desire. Oh, balance. So we can have everything that we want when we learn to recognize that what we want is a puzzle that fits together. So let's go. I don't know why the MTV Cribs is the example, so let's stick with that for a minute. I don't want to have to clean all of those things. I don't want the responsibility. This is me personally. I don't want the responsibility of managing and the maintenance of that much space. I would love to have access to those things. And so is there some world where there's community access to the large gathering space? There's community access to the pool or to the mountains or to the ocean or to whatever those things are, in a way that allows me to have those desires without having to own all of those things. Because owning is responsibility. And I got enough of those. I'm trying to figure out how to manage the ones that I have. I do not need more responsibilities to own. For someone else, they might decide, nope, I really do want the MTV Cribs gigantic house. And in order to have that, that means I'm also going to have to either bring in more people to live with me and help care for it, or pay people to come in and care for it as that staff or whatever those things are. And maybe that's the balance I choose. So I'm not claiming any right or wrong balance in that, but just saying that when we have everything we desire, whatever it is that we truly, our soul's deepest, darkest, fullest visions for our life, when we shed the bullshit around them, we recognize that the thing that we really want is already in balance. And so if this thing that we think that we want, that we already have access to, I got a community pool right there. I can go to the rec center. I'm rambling. I don't know what I'm talking about or why. So I'm going to stop myself for a second. And we're going to pull one more card to go with these, the World and the Balance, and we've got Satya. Satya is truth. So we get to circle all the way back to the beginning. Kindness is true. Your desires are true. Balance is true. The more that we get to the truth, the more that we shed the things that we've been told we want, the more that we shed the things that we've been told we believe, the easier it is to remember that we are already perfect incarnations of the divine essence of all that is and isn't and ever will be. You don't have to improve yourself. We're just putting down our burdens. We're just getting clearer. We're just distilling truths that we already know. And being willing to sit long enough to let those things distill so that we're not caught up in the hyper reactivity of the chaos, the more we can awaken our magic. The more that we can have everything that we want. And in many ways have much of it already here and now. In fact, at its purest, if you ask the Vedic scholars, they say all any of us truly want is liberation. All any of us truly want is to be free. And here's the thing, our souls, they already are free. It's just a matter of remembering and recognizing the cages that we and others have built around them. But those cages are illusions, they're not real. They're mental, psychic barriers, but they're not real. And so the soul that's unbroken, the soul that's pure, the soul that's true, that's already free. That's already in moksha, liberation. And nothing can touch that because that's eternal. Okay. I guess that's what we're going to end it on. I don't know. These are the words that came out of my mouth. I hope this was helpful. I love you, and I'll see you next time.